The Filipino community is one of the fastest growing diasporas in Manitoba, with over 100,000 individuals living in the province. With this growing population, Manitoba now recognizes June as Filipino Heritage Month. There's so much happening, and we have Perla Javate from the Philippine Heritage Council to share everything Filipino here in Manitoba. Let's get into it.
My name is Perla Javate. Right now, I'm a retired community liaison officer of Winnipeg School Division, but I'm currently serving as trustee for the school division. I'm also the president of the Philippine Heritage Council. At the same time, also of the Coalition of Filipino Canadians for Stronger Families and a co-chair of the Ethnocultural Council, Manitoba.
Why don't we get into that? What is the role of the Heritage Council? What sort of things does it do within the community? Because for a lot of people, they hear about these different cultural organizations around the city, but they may not be aware of exactly what they do. So let's get into that. Tell me a little bit about the significance and importance of this organization.
The Philippine Heritage Council of Manitoba actually sprang from an ad hoc committee that was started by the consulate in the 80s. The main objective of it is to be able to bring together the different groups we have in the community so we can work together towards a common purpose. And Philippine heritage, of course, is one thing that we share for all of them. And we became incorporated officially as a council in 2003. Right now, we probably have over 30 different organizations who are active, along with some along with some individuals. We do meet for the purpose of preparing for the Filipino Heritage Week. At one point, now it's Filipino Heritage Month.
A big step up.
Yes, a big step up because the federal government, somebody made a motion to declare June as the Filipino Heritage Month. And in 2018, it was declared, and from coast to coast to coast, all Filipinos are celebrating their heritage for a month. And for the Philippine Heritage Council of Manitoba, we usually come up with 7 or 8 different events throughout the month. And along with celebrating our Filipino heritage is also celebrating our reality at this point in time that we are Filipino Canadians. Mm-hmm. And so part of it is also celebrating the cultures we have here in Manitoba. It's an exciting time for us because we do get together with groups that usually operate on their own because they do have their purposes as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you're aware, in our community, we have over 100 different organizations. And each one, fulfilling their own purpose. Yeah. They come to being because they meet the needs of their specific group. So these are the bigger groups that we have joining us. And it's fun to do it. It's a shared responsibility of everyone. Yeah. So if we do have successful events, it's shared by everyone. It's done by everyone. And for this year, we have quite a few events. We usually kick it off with the flag raising and opening ceremony, which we do at the Philippine Canadian Center on Keewatin. So that's usually held first thing in the morning, as early as 8 o'clock in the morning.
And bright and early.
It's open to all, to everyone, whoever comes. And usually we're able to get representatives from the 3 levels of government to bring greetings. And then we have a few performances, and we do share all the events that we're having for the month. Yeah. So it's time for us to even have our young people coming together with us, the children and youth.
That's definitely the important part of these cultural organizations when you're mentioning open to all.
Yes.
Celebrating one's culture and heritage and then sharing it with others as well.
Even among us in the Philippine community, we come from different regions. Mm-hmm. Of course, we expect that they're homogeneous. We are all Filipinos, probably share the color of our skin and all that, but then we come from different regions, and we do have different cultural practices, different way of doing things, and we share that along with sharing with other cultures. So it's actually a very vibrant and rich experience for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing that everyone needs to be cognizant of is when we're looking at these different cultural regions, how vast they are. We have this conversation every time with like different African cultural centers and groups. It's like Africa is huge. And I mean, the Philippines, when you're looking at a map, looks small.
It's small. If you think of the Philippines as a landmass, it can fit in half of Manitoba. That's how small it is. But in terms of population, we're looking at 100 million.
Yeah.
Over 100 million people living in the Philippines. And so one of the things that sometimes surprise Canadians, when they have a neighbor, for instance, who are Filipinos, and at one point there'll be 10 people living in the house. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's not something common here, because a 3-bedroom house should only be good for 5 people.
And it's like 10. This family unit, and once like they're old enough, they make their own family unit.
That's right. But I had to explain time and again that the concept of space is pretty much North American. In the Philippines, I said, because of the numbers we have and because of the closeness of families, if you have one roof, we're open to share it with anyone who needs it. When friends or family come over, we open our homes to them to help them settle down first before they move on to be on their own.
I think that's something we can see from a lot of cultures, that the importance of family.
Right.
And I was just watching a movie the other day. A guy adopted a daughter with Down syndrome, wanting to look after her. And those first few nights having a baby,
yeah,
you're like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know how to what she wants or anything. But then all of a sudden, he hears a ring on his home, and he looks. The entire family is there to come celebrate, help, relax him, give him those tools, or talk with him. And I think that's something a lot of people are missing out on. And I love seeing in other cultures the intergenerational housing. I think it's cool, and I think it's something that we can all learn from each other, and that's the significance of cultural organizations or events like Filipino Heritage Month.
Family is really very important to us. We value family so much to the point where sometimes to a fault. It is always really very valuable to have them, and you can see how raising children is a lot easier for some of our families because they bring their families, their parents or sometimes aunts and uncles to help in raising the child.
We're seeing a lot of that in news articles right now. People being like, I don't know how I'm going to raise a family. Me and my partner, we're both working a job. How are we supposed to have time for a kid? And then you have family members who are like, it's not my responsibility to help out. And it's like, well, this is why people are deciding not to have children a lot of the times, because there's a lot of supports that are missing.
Yeah, because there has been tremendous change in the way we do things. Women are now working. In the past, they stayed at home and helped in raising their children. Now we depend on daycares, and we know the limitations that we have because of the numbers that are available for in the different places. Even children in school, so that's been a big problem all the time, where they can leave their kids first thing in the morning and, after school when the parents are still working. For our community, having family over is one of the things that they care. For one thing, they want to make sure that some of the values that we have are preserved, because going into a daycare introduces the child right away to new ways of doing things. Some of the parents are not really very comfortable with those changes that are happening with their children. Yeah, so with having their grandparents or any member of the family come to help out, that's a really big thing. Helping each other is one big thing that we have in the family, in our community.
And then another big part is the food aspect, right? Whenever I go over to my partner's house and her mom starts cooking, when we're leaving, she's like, oh, here you go. Make sure you bring leftovers with you. It's like, oh, are you still hungry? Oh, there's more food for you. It's like, no. I'm good, but it's always like that celebration and sharing of food, and always delicious, vibrant food as well.
Yeah, food is very important as well. So every time you go and visit a friend who's a Filipino, or whenever there's a gathering, in fact, even when we have a wake, that's the way our community help each other. People bring food, and there's that sharing, and it contributes to the warmth and the caring, that is being relayed through food.
Yeah, a recent food that I've been introduced to, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the pork buns.
Yes, we call it siopao.
Siopao, that's it. It is so delicious. Like the bun itself is so light and fluffy, and the meat inside is just like that little bit of sweetness. It's so good. I've been enjoying it as my after workout treat recently.
Have you tried their breakfast?
I'm so bad at remembering the names, but we do the little sausages with rice and egg.
The long-silog.
Longanisa. Yeah, longanisa. Love it, specifically the spicy one.
Yeah, okay.
Such a great breakfast.
Great breakfast and very good for the waistline.
Yes, it's been so fun, and that's one of the most exciting things I've had with having a partner of a different cultural background, is those opportunities to learn from each other, because I share some of my cultural background with her, and she shares a lot of her cultural background with me, and trying out these different things. And she's on a journey of herself to learn more about Filipino culture and heritage. She wants to learn more about Tagalog and learning it, because she can understand it but can't speak it.
Was she born here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the things that we are also trying to address. Actually, when I was working with Winnipeguan, that was one of the main concerns I had. I wanted parents to understand that it is important to preserve the language. And somehow, because they're busy, they're not able to do it. And sometimes with the thinking that to be able to smoothly integrate, allow them to speak English right away. But actually, it becomes a handicap when their English is the only language they have, and they start off weak in the language. Mm-hmm. And once they are introduced in school and they start learning English, they don't go back, and really sort of the desire to learn their own language.
And it becomes so much harder as you get older, right? To learn another language.
But that's when you realize you need it. When you get older, I find that in high school, they still are okay. But when they're in university, that's when they realize that, why didn't I, open myself up to learning the language when I was little? But it takes a lot of, I guess, for parents to be creative, to get them to speak it in the home. But in the first place, the parents themselves would like to speak English.
That is something we're definitely seeing an evolution and change of, right? The importance of, we need to preserve these cultural languages and the language of our homeland.
Yes.
Because you hear a lot of stories of moving in like the 70s and 80s, and that fear, like, I have to make sure my children don't have an accent or things like that. It's like we already, they're already othered in society, and you want to give them the best chances possible. You're like, okay, we're going to avoid the language completely so you can fit in better, because
that's right.
Discrimination, I mean, even now things have progressed, discrimination is still a thing.
Still there, yeah.
There are times when my partner is downtown and someone comes up to her and is like, oh, do you speak English? Like, there's just that assumption sometimes,
right. Yes.
even now.
And even if you're born here, the fact that you look different, they say, when did you get here? Mm-hmm. And young kids experience that time and again. And I guess it will always be there. When they are grown up, like they're in university, that's when they realize they can't get away with who they are. Mm. And so they start going back and trying to relearn the language and trying to find out who they are really.
To embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it. Yes, and more and more of our young people are doing that now, and I love it because that's what we want.
Exactly. The Filipino population is just growing and booming here in Manitoba. I think it's one of the fastest growing cultural communities right now.
Yeah, we have over 100,000 here now.
Wow.
And for one, I brought with me 92 women from the Netherlands because my immigration here is not the usual coming with a whole family. I came here as a group worker for a group of women, 92 of them from the Netherlands, who immigrated here as with a working visa. And this was in the 70s.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, 92 women, multiply it many times over. That's my contribution to Canada.
Bringing people in. And, that's exciting. That it's that story of coming here, building a life. And, when we're mentioning, the density is completely different. There is opportunity for Canada to grow yet. We only have 36 million people here, very, very small compared to the Philippines, where it's 100 million in a much smaller area.
Smaller area, and we have so much to share, with the world. I see probably the fourth generation now coming up in our community. And this would be because the very first immigrants that came to Winnipeg were exiting medical professionals from the United States. And we identified 5 nurses that first came in 1959. Wow. So 59, that takes us to 60-some years now here as a community. We're no longer newcomers.
Yeah, at this point, that's 4 generations of families.
Yes, because we have the first generation that came here, and then they had their children, their children's children. And so it's more important for us to be intentional in wanting to preserve our culture so that it doesn't get lost along the way.
It's too easy, especially if you're in a country for generations now, that if you're not active in that preservation, you're going to take in things from around you, and then what once was there is slowly diluted over time.
That's right. I think a lot of families are still trying to bring their families over to the Philippines to make sure their kids experience.
Go over to see it.
To see it and hopefully expose them to the language and all that. There's quite a few excitement going on in the community in terms of regaining their identity. And, as it multiplies in effort of the different groups, hopefully it will keep our culture alive here in Winnipeg.
And as things grow, the public gets more and more interested and wants to engage with it as well. With the Sea Bears game, what was it? Filipino Independence Day was celebrated at one of them. They had music and performances happening at the game.
All right, yes.
So much involvement with the basketball community here. And there's so much potential that I see.
There's actually a production coming up at Rainbow Stage. It's a full Filipino production with Filipino cast. It's going to be this, they open up on June the 29th.
Okay.
Rainbow Stage. It's the first time, and it approaches it as a Broadway kind of musical, and hopefully it will, be received with warmth. And if it does become successful, then hopefully we can spread it to other cities as well.
Yeah, that'd be so exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting because I say that this year there seemed to be an explosion of the abilities of people, talents. Yeah. It's amazing. There's so much talents in the community, young and old, even seniors.
Yeah. Well, everyone still has a chance to share something while they're on this earth, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So with June coming up, Filipino Heritage Month, you mentioned there are some big things on the way. What can we expect in this upcoming month of June?
June 1st. We start June 1st. That's when we do have our flag raising and opening ceremony, and usually big. Yes. We do it at the Philippine Canadian Center. We assemble at 8 o'clock. we have a mini parade also within the vicinity.
Oh, that's fun.
And ending up in the flag area, and it's participated by a lot of our organizations, and we have children opening it up with singing the national anthems.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So
adorable.
It will be really great. As a country, we are also known as the only Christian nation in Asia. Mm-hmm. And so we celebrate that identity also, being a Christian nation. Here in Winnipeg, there's over 30 different denominations. That is excluding the Catholics, Iglesia, the bigger ones. And that's how we are as a people. You know, the first thing we do when we come is to look for a group of people who share our beliefs.
Yes.
And so we have celebration of faith. And that's also just a gathering of different denominations sharing verses from the Bibles and singing. It's another very meaningful event for people. We have cultural exchange, which is actually done by our young group of dancers. It's we call themselves Magdalagat Philippines Incorporated.
Okay.
And they're known to have the pavilion, the Pearl of the Orient Pavilion during Folklorama. They are exchanging cultures with a Korean group as well. So they will meet in actually at the Clifton Community Center, where they will be sharing their culture, they will be sharing their arts, and they'll be sharing their food.
So they kind of like send different members and things over, and then you like,
it's two groups coming
it's just
together.
the whole group's coming together.
Yes,
and then you're like, okay, here's all our different aspects. Here's food. Here's some of our dances and things, and you share it with each other. Okay,
exactly. That's cool. You know, that's very much part of it, and that's we allow our young people to organize that and do that part. Amazing. And so that's one thing. We are also having. This is a novel idea that was presented last year. We have classic literature in the Philippines, and we're doing reading. Last year we tried it. A group did some reading of one classical piece that we had, and it was well attended. It's in Filipino, but this time it's been translated into English by the person who's responsible for it. It will be the reading of one of our famous classic novel done by our national hero. So that's one thing. We're also having our Philippine Independence Ball. That might interest you. This is the highlight of our celebration. Mm-hmm. This is the one event where we sell tickets because
Yeah, it's a big one, right?
It's a big one, and it's something that the community looks forward to. Not just our Philippine community, but the wider community.
Yeah, the Winnipeg community as a whole.
The Winnipeg community. And we're able to gather close to 500 people to attend that. And we showcase our best talents. And that's where our government officials can share their greetings and that kind of thing. And everyone sort of wears their own, wear our costume. It's amazing because even our mainstream friends come in our garb. It's really fascinating. Very good. We have a sharing circle. This also is along the lines of, sharing with our concern with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. So wanting to bring the community together to experience that and to be aware of it. So that we're doing that. And then we wind up with a welcome to newcomer picnic in the park at the Sinboan Park. Okay. This is open to everyone also. They can come and there'll be entertainment, there'll be food, there'll be games, there'll be mini workshops.
Wow.
Yeah, so it will be on the 29th.
That's so exciting. So there's so many things happening over June then.
Yes.
So if someone's hearing about everything that we're talking about here today and is thinking, you know what, this sounds awesome. I'd love to, whether they're Filipino or not, and they want to get involved and help support initiatives like this, how can they do that?
They can call 204-955-5603 or email phcm.inc. Calling 204-955-5603 would do it.
Okay.
Or if they call the Philippine Canadian Center, they can also be given, the information that they need. We do have on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. Just Google PHCM and you'll find the list of events.
And in that case, if they wanted to help, would that include like volunteering or stuff like that? But what would it look like if someone wants to help out?
We can give them, whatever they wish to, because we have different events. Whichever event they want to be of help, we will welcome them.
Yeah, you're like, okay, you want to help? All right, it's time to get to work now.
We do have individual volunteers that on their own, they wanted to be part of it. So we welcome them. So I wish you could come to some of our events.
Okay, I'll have to mark it down in my calendar for June.
I leave this with you so that...
Fantastic, amazing. And is this on your website and everything as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So for all those listeners out there, make sure you head to the Filipino Cultural Heritage Society's website to see what the calendar looks like for June.
And you're all very welcome. You come, talk to any one of us, and we are most, open to embracing you as being part of our celebration. This is for all of us. As Filipinos, we recognize the fact that now part of our heritage is being Filipino Canadians. We are given the chance to have a great life here in Canada, and for that we are embracing all of you.
Have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight? Leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was U Talk, and have yourself a good one.